this fundamental principle itself. Their reforms have only a negative purpose, if they have any aim, to proclaim unbelief in our nationality as the foundation of the Jewish religion. No wonder these reforms only fostered indifference to Judaism and conversions to Christianity. Well, his point ultimately is well taken. That's what did happen. Indifference to Judaism was really the, if I could tell you about the people I grew up with, I could tell you that that was certainly true. Conversions to Christianity wasn't happening in America that much, but in Europe that's what was going on. Judaism, like Christianity, would really have to disappear in the face of intellectual progress if it were not more than a dogmatic religion, if it were not a national cult. You see, it can't just be a dogma, it will disappear in the face of progress, which is probably have some truth to that. This is very interesting material, and we don't have time to wrestle with it enough. See, they have so little respect for the essentially national character, and he's right. Judaism is a national character, that's what it is. That they are at great pains to erase every echo and memory of it from their creed and worship. They imagine a recently manufactured prayer book, that's the Berlin prayer book, or a hymnal which contains a philosophical theism put into rhyme and accompanied by music, organs. This is what we've been talking about, and he's just pulverizing it here. This is 1860s, he's already pulverizing it. Is more elevating and soul-stirring than the moving prayers in the Hebrew language and so on. He's really just whacking away at this thing, isn't it? It's quite impressive. This former communist or socialist or whatever you want to call him, gone back to the grassroots, if you want. And he really hates the reformers. You see, the efforts for a German, he doesn't like the rabbis any better, though, even though he respects them. The efforts for German Jewish religious reformers were directed toward making Judaism, which is both national and universal, into a second Christianity cut after a rationalistic pattern. Well, I think he's got that all right. This invitation was particularly superfluous at a time when the original itself was already in deep trouble. He said more deal, but deep trouble, I think that's somewhat true. Anyway, this religion of the future, 125, of which some 18th century philosophers are, as well as recent followers, dream, will be neither an imitation of the ancient pagan cult of nature nor anything like the neo-Christianity we now have, and a neo-Judaism which exists ghost-like only in the minds of our religious reformers. Each nation will have to create its own historical cult. Well, unfortunately, that's what Hitler was trying to do with Wagner. So you see where you get some real weird ideas are perpetrating in the mid-19th century. Each people must become like the Jewish people, people of God. Anyway, it goes on. Judaism is not threatened like Christianity with the danger from nationalistic and humanistic aspirations of our time. For in reality, the spirit of the age is approaching. You see, the fascism of Germany was a threat to Christianity to some degree. Is approaching ever closer to the essential Jewish emphasis on real life. I do not agree with Mendelssohn that Judaism has no dogmas, and I think he may be right there. It just hasn't been finished. It's always kept on developing, and so on. There are two epics further down that mark the development of Jewish law. The first after the liberation from Egypt, the second after the return from Babylonia. Okay, so one is the Mosaic and the second is Talmudic. So in the form that we have it, next page, the Torah was handed down to us directly through the men of the second epic. Okay, well, you can read this for yourself. The end of that paragraph, 126. And finally, it is this oral development of the law that Judaism owes its existence. He likes the rabbinic oral law. The supposed also went back to Moses, upon which the Talmudic material is based, because he thinks that gives the possibility to keep developing. It's not frozen. Because you see, this is how we survived the exile for 2,000 years, and this will allow the national regeneration, the fact that it can continue to develop. One last paragraph, I'll let you go. The rabbis were justified in their long struggle against writing down the oral law. Had they kept on teaching and developing the law orally in the schools, Judaism would never have been threatened with the loss of its national legislative genius. In other words, it wouldn't have gotten frozen. It would have kept on moving forward, he thinks. I agree with him to some extent. Writing things down freezes them in place. Keep it oral, keep it moving, it can regenerate itself. Today we have no reason to fear the latter danger, but we can escape the former only if we revive the critical spirit to counteract barren formalism, that is the rabbinic, just knee-jerk observance of what has already been written. If we reawaken in our hearts and souls the holy patriotic spirit of our prophets and sages as an antidote to destructive pure rationalism. He wants poetry, obviously. And of course Wagner is doing this in operas for the Germans. That's what he's up to. So, he's not too far off from what's happening on the Christian side of things in Germany. Our people must once again steep itself in its history, which has been grossly neglected by the rationalists, and rekindle in the hearts of the younger generation that spirit which was the ultimate source of wisdom and inspiration. This, if you want, Holy Spirit at the bottom. We will then become participators in the Holy Spirit, a kind of zeitgeist, kind of creativity, which alone has the right to develop Jewish law, be fashioned according to the needs of the time and the people, and with the third exile will finally have come to an end. The restoration of the Jewish state will find us ready for it in the right spirit. Well, that's quite a program. I don't think it worked. The Jews weren't ready for anything. They weren't in the right spirit, and we'll see as we progress that that's the case. You guys finish up Hess. Next time we will look at Pinsker and Ben Yehuda. And time after that, Herzl. And then after that, hopefully, we will look at Nordau, Ahad and Jabotinsky. And maybe, if we have time, Brandeis, the American Supreme Court judge. That's what I want you to look at. I'll go through those names again so you know, so you can get ahead. Let me just do a quick before you go here. So we're doing Moses Hess now. So Ben Yehuda is in part 2, and Pinsker in part 2. Part 3, you have Herzl and Nordau. Part 4, you have Ahad. And if you want labor Zionism, you could read Aaron David Gord. I don't think we'll have time for that in part 6. And then in part 9, you have Brandeis. And part 10, you have Jabotinsky and Weitzman. And that's what we'll hopefully get to if we're lucky. Bye. I know you want to go. Bye-bye. Sorry to keep you. You guys read Pinsker and Ben Yehuda. Maybe we'll talk more about it. I won't have it out loud to you.